Hey guys, this is Aaron from Kintura. This video is going to be about user hour versus day part. A lot of you are used to day parting reports, I should say day part reports. And day parting is something, if you don't know, is a way to control when your campaign runs during the day. And so when we talk about actionable data, we mean that we have reports that we can take action from. And in a lot of ways, what you'd be doing with day parting at the traffic source level, at the campaign level at your traffic source, is telling your traffic source when you want to pause your campaign at specific times of day. We call those day parts, meaning there are 7 days in the week and 24 hours in the day. And so you end up with a week-long bit of chunks that you can sort of control when you are sending traffic and, more importantly, paying for traffic. The goal here is very simply to not buy traffic when people are not responding to our creative, and to buy traffic when they are. And once you've run some amount of traffic, you will have actionable data, which may or may not be of use to you depending on how granular you're getting. And what I mean by that is, if you are just looking at a campaign that, say, spans 3 or 4 time zones. So for instance, if you're targeting the US and Canada, we will have Pacific time zone, we'll have Mountain, Central, and Eastern, right? So we're kind of divided into 4 chunks. And for your campaign, you might see some level of granularity there. If I go to the day part report here, we can see which of these weekday/hour parts of the campaign are working. The kind of, I guess, and I should say the goal here, I'm going to go ahead and sort these. So we're going to be starting with Sunday and kind of working our way down. Keep in mind the cost data of this campaign that we're looking at here has been removed for privacy reasons, as this is a real campaign. So we're going to kind of scroll over here and look at conversions. And why don't we actually look at ROI, or actually conversion rate. So you can see here certain times of day. Well, let me tell you what's limiting, first of all, about day part, because we've all seen day parts here. I'll show you the heat map. So we don't have ROI data, but we have, in this campaign, because we have costs disabled, but we can see when people are buying things, illustrated here by the green. And so what's important here, and you can see that each of these weekdays, and now mind you, this is Eastern time for this report. And so say we're using Taboola or Revcontent. I believe for Revcontent, we would be limited to Eastern Standard Time. And what this report is showing us is actually just when, in the scope of our campaign, relative to in the context of our campaign, when people are buying things. And this is useful because it is directly actionable. The problem is that it doesn't give us insight into the actual state of the environment around the user at the time they clicked our ad and converted. And so if we were to just optimize here, we might see some trends during certain times of day. And as we gather more data and more visits and more clicks and definitely more conversions, we will begin to see some trends of certain times of the day that we should just not be running traffic. And I can almost already see there's some certain hours of the day that I would really hope we aren't spending any money. Again, I'm sorry, cost and ROI are going to be useless tabs here because we don't have costs enabled. But specifically looking at when people are converting, at least, we would want to make sure that this coincided with where we were focusing the energy of our campaign. And so the point is, or I guess I should say one of the limitations here is that because we're spanning time zone, what's important to note here is that this report is only useful as a measure of almost my performance as a media buyer. Not so much as something that we can attribute to the user's behavior, which can be incredibly more insightful. And I will show you the difference. what a user hour is and what this report does is it shows us regardless of where the user was. And mind you, this campaign was spanning the United States and Canada and even the UK. So mostly English speaking developed countries. What's critical to note here is that when we go to look at conversions, or for instance, so these are sorted by the user hour. And so what that means is, for instance, if we go to visits, we will see that like these 753 people right here visited during the 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. hour, right? And the reason that's critically important is for when you recognize trends in behavior of the users clicking your ads, because this is behavioral analysis. Because what we're seeing is, for whatever reason, at a certain time of day, we might be experiencing better performance out of our users because our landing pages, our creative, everything is triggering something for them at this time of day. And what I'm trying to show you here is this pretty directly actionable data, because at 9 a.m., I'm showing 10 conversions here. Let's go to our conversion rate, which is a pretty impressive 1.24%. Now, the next highest conversion rate is 11 a.m. to 11:59 a.m. at 0.91. But look at the 30% difference. And that's what I'm saying. That's the whole point of this video. If you're doing any type of native buying and you are not paying attention to this user hour report in your tracker, hopefully it's Kintura, you are completely missing out on some major indicators of, behavioral indicators. Because I'm looking at a 30% increase in conversion rate at 9 a.m. to 9:59. Now, if you might have demographic data available to you, but if you don't, you might know a certain type of person is either waking up right now, maybe they're unemployed, or just lazy, or maybe they're retired. But that's really not my business as a media buyer. All I can possibly say is I'm scoring this 1.2% amazing conversion rate right here, this is critically important information. Now, suppose I took my campaign and I go back to the idea of day parting, but rather than day parting based on the reports that I have for my entire campaign, remember, this was for many countries, many regions, or many time zones. More importantly, if we have, we're lumping the UK and Norway or something into the same campaign, that this view of day part is only a specific schedule. This is on a specific time zone. This is in my reporting time zone, which happens to be Eastern. Same as Revcontent or Taboola, unless you have changed your setting. So my point is, if I were to go and pause, I'm not really making surgical decisions. If I were to maybe low bid during these down times, these non-converting times, or if I was to pause the campaign during these non-converting times, these low-performing times, not entirely surgical. In fact, it's incredibly broad, because this heat map is kind of all over the place because I'm spanning so many different time zones. Because what I just showed you when we go back to user hour is this very clear advantage of running this campaign at this 9 a.m. hour. I mean, holy crap, if that doesn't blow your mind. Because this makes me wonder, if I just took the time to break this out into 5 campaigns, 1 per time zone, and then I day part that campaign so that I'm just running traffic between 9 a.m. and noon, or 9 a.m. and 3 with my high bid, and then all other periods I'm at my low bid, suddenly I've done a breakout, as in I have taken a broadly targeted campaign and I have broken it out into more performant shards or slivers. I am basically now running 5 campaigns with a 1.29% conversion rate because I'm targeting specific user behavior, whereas prior to that, I was blowing a whole bunch of money running my campaign all over the world at using the same schedule. So here in this one, this campaign was already profitable. And that's what is always mind-blowing to me, is a lot of media buyers at any scale will come to us with these campaigns where they're pretty regularly turning 30% profit plus on very large buys. These are very scalable campaigns. However, it's very sad when you see an average conversion rate hovering around 0.6 when it could so easily, with the work of your media buying assistant, clone your camps into breakouts and start looking at one time zone per campaign, and suddenly a whole world of behavior, user behavior, and that targeting that behavior, as in you just woke up and you might be feeling bad about yourself and in the mood to buy some diet pills or something. I don't know. But again, that's not my job to be a psychologist. It's just my job to look at the reports and pull out of it and extrapolate and try to figure out why people are responding. And if this is not statistically significant, I don't know what is. I have such a powerful presence here between 9 a.m. and even noon, compared to some other times of day that I'm still, if you just want to go by visits, still representing quite a chunk of my spend on, pardon my French, effing nothing. And you got to wonder why. So I hope that makes sense. This was user hour versus day part. I hope that makes sense. And let me know if you have any questions. I have to disable comments because our competitors are so insane. So, but feel free to hit me up on Skype or contact us through Intercom or Front app on Kintura.com. All right, thanks a lot.